Tonight, a live breaking news special edition of 2020.
The babies are just growing up. They can still get sick. And they're really important to me. I just don't want anything to happen to them.
It came back positive. Yeah, and it sucks.
From the very top.
It's bad. It's bad.
To those struggling at home.
We need one more breakfast.
With the day-to-day reality.
For the time being, this is the center of the universe.
Adjusting to the new normal as cities and entire countries go on lockdown. Quarantined at home and waiting for results.
I don't know when I'm going to be able to leave my house. I don't know if I've infected a lot of people.
The very latest on testing.
Bottom line, how soon can you get a test?
Literally now, as we speak. We are told there will be millions of tests over a period of between now and the next few weeks.
And if you're infected, step-by-step guidance on what to do. Our experts live in the studio answering your questions. Pandemic, what you need to know. Here's David Muir.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us for this special live 2020 Pandemic, What You Need to Know. And as we come on the air tonight, much of America shutting down. Late today, President Trump issuing new nationwide guidelines for Americans across this country in the fight against the coronavirus. The outbreak spreading across the U.S. More than 1,300 new cases in just the last 24 hours, and that's without testing fully up to speed. In total, more than 4,600 cases in 49 states, at least 82 deaths. Late today, President Trump acknowledging the coronavirus is not under control, urging Americans not to gather in groups larger than 10 and to avoid restaurants and bars. And he said the U.S. could be dealing with this right into the summer. Tonight, a major lockdown has been declared in the San Francisco area. Nearly 7 million people in several California counties have been ordered to shelter in place, to stay at home for weeks. And the stock market free fall, even after action by the Fed in a rare Sunday move, the Dow halted shortly after opening today, emergency triggers kicking in, and by day's end, dropping nearly 3,000 points, its worst point loss ever. Our chief medical editor, Dr. Jen Ashton, and a team of doctors are right here tonight taking your questions on Twitter. Use the hashtag AskABC2020, and we'll be checking in with the entire team all night. But we're going to begin tonight with the remarkable changes occurring at a rapid pace across this country, a reset of American life. I'm sure you saw it for yourself this weekend. You walk into a grocery store somewhat expecting it, but it's still a stunning sight to see. The empty shelves, millions of families worried about what's coming, trying to stock up. Parents trying to find childcare with schools closing in at least 35 states. And there's also the ongoing struggle for those who fear they have the coronavirus or have been exposed to it. Where and how do they get tested? How quickly will they get the results? Is what we're seeing in Italy and in Europe about to play out right here in the U.S.? I'll ask Dr. Anthony Fauci of the National Institutes of Health, the nation's top infectious disease expert, that very question in just a moment. But first tonight, the new guidelines from President Trump late today. Tonight, America shutting down. Late today, President Trump issuing new nationwide guidelines for the next 15 days.
We'd much rather be ahead of the curve than behind it.
The president's task force now urging everyone to avoid gatherings of 10 or more people, to avoid restaurants and bars, discretionary travel, encouraging older people and those with underlying conditions to stay home. The administration also telling people not to visit nursing homes and recommending bars and restaurants close in states with community spread. Reporters at the White House today were greeted with signs telling them to sit separate from one another. Their temperatures taken before they entered the White House briefing room. The podium cleaned right afterward.
If everyone makes this change or these critical changes and sacrifices now, we will rally together as one nation and we will defeat the virus.
You're not saying it's under control, right?
I'm not referring to it, meaning the... Yeah, if you're talking about the virus, no, that's not under control for any place in the world.
And late today, the president warning that the crisis could stretch deep into the summer.
People are talking about July, August, something like that. So it could be right in that period of time where it washes through. Other people don't like that term, but where it washes through.
Tonight, with cases across the country climbing, several counties in the San Francisco Bay Area issuing a sweeping shelter-in-place order to stay home for nearly 7 million Americans. Residents told to only leave their homes for food, medicine, and exercise. And California's governor tonight urging home isolation for all adults over the age of 65.
Most important thing, again, is to protect the most vulnerable.
More than a dozen states closing bars and restaurants except for takeout and delivery, including New York, Connecticut, and New Jersey, who are also closing gyms, movie theaters, casinos, starting tonight. Across this country, at least 35 states now closing public schools, forcing more than 35 million school children to stay home.
Creates a lot of hardship for people, but it's the right choice.
And we have all seen it for ourselves across this country. The empty shelves from Omaha, Nebraska, to the long lines at Costco's from Illinois to Los Angeles.
Thousands of people are rushing to trying to get into the Costco here in the
lines snaking around the building before dawn. Nationwide stores running out of basic items like toilet paper and water. And tonight, this message from the Stop and Shop grocery chain announcing new early shopping hours for customers 60 and older. And despite major new action by the Fed on Sunday to cut interest rates to near zero, the Dow halted just seconds into trading today, closing down nearly 3,000 points. All of this as some of America's hospitals and healthcare workers sound the alarm, reporting spikes in incoming patients amid a shortage of critical protective gear, setting up tents outside emergency rooms. And another critical matter that remains tonight, the testing. Who can get a test, where, and how quickly will they get the results? Workers on the front line saying there may be more tests, but we need protective gear. And President Trump late today was asked about his own test he took over the weekend.
It's not something I want to do every day, I can tell you that. It's, it's a little bit of good doctors in the White House, but it's a test. It's a medical test. Nothing pleasant about it.
The White House saying the president tested negative for the virus. Tonight, the president of France declaring Europe is at war with coronavirus. The UK taking wartime measures, asking companies like Ford and Rolls-Royce to manufacture vital equipment like ventilators. And British actor Idris Elba posting this message, saying he has tested positive for coronavirus.
This is serious, Now's the time to really think about social distancing, washing your hands.
He says he feels okay and is now in self-isolation with his wife, who hasn't yet been tested. And here in the U.S., an NBA player with the Utah Jazz, Donovan Mitchell, and his own message. He is isolated after testing positive for coronavirus too, and his case highlights the need for more testing.
I keep making the joke when people ask me. I said, if you were to tell me I'm about to play in a 7-game series tomorrow, I'd be ready to lace up.
That's really something. Donovan Mitchell testing positive, but saying he has no symptoms, which, of course, begs the question, how many Americans have this without even knowing, and when will the testing finally be up to speed? Are healthcare workers on the front lines ready? Do they have the protective gear they need? Are there enough ventilators in this country? I spoke with Dr. Anthony Fauci of the National Institutes of Health, the nation's top expert on infectious diseases, just before we came on the air tonight. Dr. Fauci, thank you for joining us here tonight. You have been sounding the alarm for weeks now, and we heard the president late today issue those new guidelines, no restaurants, no bars. We heard the president acknowledge coronavirus is bad, is not under control. Can you tell the American people watching tonight who have seen what's happening in Italy and elsewhere as best you can, what we're about to see here in the U.S.?
Well, what we're about to see, David, is that things are definitely going to get worse before they get better. If you look at the pattern of the outbreak as it hit different countries and different cities within countries, and I talk specifically about China, about South Korea, and most recently Italy, what happens is that you putter along with cases, a few, and then you reach a point of inflection where it takes off. And if you look back at the history of outbreaks, you get this big, big peak, and then it starts to come down if you leave the virus to its own devices without trying to interfere with it. We have the opportunity now, even though we will still continue to see an acceleration of cases, we have the opportunity to blunt that peak and essentially make it more of a mound, which would mean less sick people and less death. But that's not going to happen spontaneously.
Dr. Fauci, I have to ask you what viewers have been asking us, and they commonly ask about the tests in this country. We've heard promises from the administration of 1 million coronavirus tests, then the promise of 4 million tests. You've already called it a failing in your words, so I don't want to go over it all over again how it began, but we're now weeks into this. So bottom line tonight, if you're an American who meets the criteria on the CDC guidance, we've been saying if you have a fever of 100.4 or more to call your doctor. But bottom line, how soon can you get a test if you need one, and how soon will you get the results back?
Well, the situation has really changed dramatically, David. Again, we admit, and I have been publicly saying that a little bit ago it wasn't nearly adequate to meet the needs. Right now, there has been a major embracing of the private sector, which is, calling upon the forces of what America does best, private industry, and get those companies and those labs involved. And we are told in discussions with the CEOs of those labs and with the state and other government that the tests that are going out there literally now, as we speak, tomorrow, the next day, the next week, are going to take that riveting up till you get to the point where there will be millions of tests per several weeks over a period of between now and the next few weeks.
Well, Dr. Fauci,
I tend to,
you speak of the CEOs there, and we certainly hope that that's true, but we heard from healthcare workers on the ground just today who said, we have the test, but we don't have the protective gear. And we heard from workers in some of these labs who say they're also concerned that they don't have the gear that they need, the protective gear, to actually process these tests.
That's a very good point, David, and I would have gotten to that, but you're right, and I appreciate you're bringing it up. It's not just the test, it's how you can actually deliver them. And the people who are involved now in making this happen. But when you start something up, David, it doesn't go from nothing to 100% effective right away. What we're going to start seeing is that there will always be people who are not getting the test or the results exactly when they want it. But that's going to be changing rapidly over the days and weeks.
When Americans see what they have seen with these tests, they're going to be concerned about equipment, supplies, the adequate number of healthcare workers on the front line. We heard what the president told the nation's governors today, that don't wait for the federal government, for the White House on ventilators. Go get them on your own. Do we have enough ventilators in this country for what's coming?
Well, it depends on what you mean, David, by what's coming. There are about 12,700 ventilators in the Strategic National Stockpile and the ability to backfill with several thousand. I mean, if you have a situation like they have in Italy, I don't think any country or any preparation in the world will be able to be adequate to have the equipment that you need. What we're trying to do, apropos of what I just told you a few moments ago, is to blunt that response, that we'd be able to handle it with the equipment we have. But when you're dealing with a fluid situation like this, you're really racing against the virus, trying to get out of control as you're trying to keep it under control. The more you keep it under control, and that's where the mitigation and the containment comes in, the less you'll be in risk of running out of that vital equipment that you need.
Doctor, can you assure the American people that what they've witnessed in those images from Italy and from those hospitals won't happen here?
David, I'm always trying to be as cold and honest. I don't want to scare anybody. There's no guarantee of anything, but I can tell you we are going to try our very best with all of the resources, all of the force, all of our might to make sure that doesn't happen. But, David, it is going to require the cooperation of the American people, because the reason why we made the announcement this evening about don't go to bars, don't go to restaurants. If you're an elderly person, shelter in, stay at home, don't go out.
Yeah, it's going to take every community in this country. I wanted to ask you before you go about the reports out of France over the weekend of the hundreds in critical condition, potentially. They reported half could be under 60. What does that tell you? And perhaps more importantly, what do you know right now about who has this right now in the U.S., what the demographics are? What are you seeing in Americans right now?
Well, it's not, the number in America is still low, but we're seeing the patterns that we saw in China and that we saw in South Korea, which is that if you look at the people who get into trouble, they are overwhelmingly weighted towards individuals who are elderly and individuals who have underlying conditions that compromise their ability to fight the infection, like heart disease and lung disease. You will always see outliers of individuals who are otherwise young and well, who wind up getting into trouble, getting seriously ill, and even dying. I'm very interested in, and we want to follow up on those reports from France that say that there are several people. When I heard that, I called up some of my colleagues, some of whom I trained years ago in my own group in Italy, and I said, I'm hearing this about France. What are you seeing in Italy? And he admitted, we are seeing a few people, a minor proportion, but they certainly are there, of younger people in their 40s and 50s who are getting seriously ill. But he confirmed that the overwhelming majority of the people who get into trouble, the average age of the people who really get sick and die is 80-something years old.
But of course, we all just want to make sure that there isn't a false sense of security out there as well, which I'm sure you share that concern.
David, let me be on the record and be very, very vocal about this. We don't have a false sense of security about anything. We take everything seriously. Yes, of course, when you look at the numbers, younger people do much, much, much better. The overwhelming majority of them do well. When we start hearing reports of people who are 40s and 50s and 60s who are getting into trouble, you have to pay attention to that and find out, A, is it real? And it is real. Why is it happening when we didn't see it in other countries? So nothing is taken for granted. No false sense of security.
Dr. Fauci, thanks so much for being here tonight. We appreciate the work you're doing.
Yeah, good to be with you, David.
So let's take this over to Dr. Jen Ashton now and the medical team, who, by the way, will be taking your questions as we're on the air here tonight. But Dr. Jen, first the news that Dr. Fauci just made there. We talked to him about the headline from France that of the hundreds of patients in critical condition, there were reports that about half of them potentially could be 60 or younger.
Right.
And even Dr. Fauci said, I got on the phone, I wanted to know more about that.
Right. And that's why it's so important for us to test more and to release our clinical data from the United States patients. We need to know what our average age is here, how many are serious, how many are critical, what pre-existing conditions they had. We don't have that data out yet.
And you heard him acknowledge that again today, saying that it hasn't been adequate in this country. In fact, he said it's been inadequate to meet the needs of testing so far. But that's what's so important here. It's not just to tell an individual whether or not they have coronavirus, but it's what it could tell the medical community about where it is in the country and who's being hit the hardest.
100%. And we're expecting some early results possibly out of the Seattle cases and the rest of our U.S. cases any day now. But right now we haven't had that. And we're seeing already a burdening of our healthcare system. We need that information to help us make our decisions. Data drives decisions in medicine.
A lot of people at home have been asking us about the supplies on the front line, in particular ventilators, which we've heard a lot about. He talked about, in addition to the 62,000 we have in hospitals around the country, 12,700 that have been stockpiled. But he also acknowledged that if we were to have coronavirus hit the way it's hit in Italy, he said no amount of preparedness would be enough.
Right. And when you look at our critical surge capacity, David, it's based on space, staff, supplies, and systems. Ventilators don't run themselves. They need respiratory therapists and critical care nurses. We have a shortage of that type of personnel, but that is partially why we're hearing as recently as a few days ago, the American College of Surgeons saying postpone all elective surgery and procedures because those things use valuable resources like ventilators and masks, and we need those now.
That's a really important point. And just to drive this home, what we heard from President Trump late today, these new guidelines to avoid restaurants and to avoid bars, a lot of people might be asking, is this a step too far? But Dr. Fauci, and I know you would say, this is exactly what we need to do because Dr. Fauci was talking about flattening the curve again.
That's right.
So that the ventilators, the medical workers in the front lines, that our supplies can keep up. And if you can keep the number of cases lower over perhaps a longer period of time,
correct,
it gives our medical staff around this country a better chance.
100%. And Dr. Fauci himself said when you're trying to contain or respond to an infectious disease outbreak, you're always behind. So we need to take those aggressive steps now.
All right, covering the late news of the night, we're going to answer everyone's questions at home, so keep them coming. There's still much more ahead. On the special live edition of 2020, we're going to hear from Americans who have coronavirus tonight. So many have been wondering, what are the symptoms? How many are walking around asymptomatic? We're also going to take you inside the lab tonight, one of those private labs, to show you the equipment capable of processing 1,000 samples a day. But do workers conducting the tests, do workers then processing the samples have the protective gear they need? We'll get some answers on that. And just in from France tonight, the French president now saying we are at war. The alarming headlines about those younger than 60, we'll dig into that a little more tonight. And what does that tell us? In Italy, at least 349 deaths in just the last 24 hours alone. And this number that got our attention as well. In Italy, they have more hospital beds, more doctors per capita per person than we have here in the U.S. So again, is America ready? We're back in a moment. Next tonight, here's so many questions about testing in the U.S. News that private labs are now joining the fight. Tonight, we're going to take you inside one, but how many kits are available and how quickly will they now get this done? Here's ABC's Matt Gutman.
Yeah. How have you been feeling?
My head's been hurting, but that's all. I've been pretty good besides that.
It's become an all too familiar story. 8-year-old Adele Tyson of Westchester, New York, came down with coronavirus-like symptoms last week. So her mother, Vita, called the health department hotline to get her tested.
I called 8 different numbers, and I spoke with 8 different people. And they meant well. And then they referred me back to the original number.
Vita gave up, but then she fell ill herself. And the local ER tested her on Tuesday. 6 days later, still no results.
I don't know when I'm going to be able to leave my house. I don't know if I've infected a lot of people. And I can't tell anyone anything because I don't know.
Testing numbers nationwide are still lagging. New York has conducted roughly 7,000 tests since the outbreak. North Carolina's public labs have only done about 300. However, in South Korea, where the number of cases have now flattened, over 275,000 tests have been conducted. They've even now created phone booth-type testing sites. But back home, health workers need to be in full protective gear to administer the tests. In some cases, they're proving scarce.
So the current test that's been available up to this point has been very manual or labor intensive. So that has hindered how quickly we can turn results around and the volume of tests that can be done.
But this weekend, we may have turned a corner.
The FDA approved a new test for the virus. We did this within hours after receiving the application from Roche.
Roche Molecular Solutions and another private biotech company, Thermo Fisher, received emergency FDA authorization for new tests. Breakthroughs because of the speed. Patients no longer have to wait for days for results. Now, just 3.5 hours.
What we can now expect is that we're going to provide 400,000 tests in the coming days. So that will mean that we will make available about 1.5 million tests every month.
How did Roche pull it off?
The challenge was the timeline. Could we do it in 6 to 7 weeks, as we were being asked to do?
We did something that usually takes 12 to 18 months.
So we had to reinvent how we did things.
With the potential to be a COVID-19 game changer, the Roche factory went into overdrive. With the thumbs up from the FDA around midnight on Friday, the tests rolled out over the weekend. This New Jersey shipping team loading trucks heading out to over 30 labs across the country. And today in Chicago, Kathleen Beavis of the University of Chicago put the new test through one of its first runs this afternoon.
So they're literally dropping in as we speak. You're getting specimens as we speak.
Yes, we are.
The results?
5 positives out of 43. Yes. Again, this all goes to helping us track where the existing cases are and where we might have higher pockets of illness in the Chicago area.
Many of these experts have skin in the game. Dr. Valsamakis' husband is already suffering from heart trouble.
He's in the highest risk category group of people to die from this infection. This is personal. I want to protect him.
So many questions about testing coming into the team. So let's get back to Dr. Jen. And someone wrote, actually it was Courtney, she said, please ask Dr. Ashton, first of all, how long can one be a carrier of COVID-19 before actually showing symptoms? Do we even know the answer to that?
We don't know, David. We know the average incubation, based on a published study that just came out last week, was 5.2 days. By 11 days, 97% of people will convert to positive, but we really don't know what that range is. We still need to test more people.
And that's just a question before showing symptoms. There are still many who are asymptomatic.
Right.
We heard that from Donovan Mitchell, the NBA player for the Utah Jazz, who said he tested positive, not feeling any symptoms. And there was a question from Tim who wrote in, if asymptomatic or no symptoms, shouldn't we still be tested if we are contagious to others?
Well, the long-term answer is yes. We need to test a lot of asymptomatic people, but we're not there yet. So right now it's what's considered a tier 3 level, an asymptomatic person in the community who maybe was just exposed to a confirmed case. Right now, the real answer is self-quarantine, because the ability to test asymptomatic people just is not there yet.
Because there would be a crush of people then trying to get tested, and we already have seen what's happened in our country with the testing process so far. So again, if you have symptoms that fever of 100.4 or above, call your doctor.
In some cases, absolutely, if you have a medical condition. But remember, some people don't have a high fever with this. So again, that's why we need to test a lot more people.
And if you don't have the fever, but you have some of the other symptoms, what are they to look out for, Jen?
Body aches, extreme fatigue, severe headache, and dry cough. If you have a healthcare provider, you want to call that person. If not, as we heard, try calling the Department of Health, but it might take a while to get through.
It might take a while, so call your healthcare provider. Don't just show up, because otherwise you risk, if you don't have it, perhaps coming into contact with somebody who does.
Absolutely.
All right, a lot more to come, Jen. Thank you very much. And when we come back here tonight, what we're seeing right now in Europe, the epicenter of this global outbreak, what we can learn from what we're seeing there as well. The French president tonight saying we are at war. Italy's death toll soaring once again, at least 349 deaths in just one day. Because of the lockdown, there can be no funerals in Italy. And what we've learned tonight about a bishop who met in recent days with Pope Francis, who has now tested positive, that bishop. Dr. Jen answering your questions. Keep them coming tonight. Use the hashtag AskABC2020. We're going to turn next tonight on this Live 2020 to Europe, to Italy, because health officials in this country are studying what they're seeing there, what they're seeing in France. We heard that from Dr. Fauci earlier. In Italy, in fact, they have more doctors and more hospital beds per capita than what we have even right here in the U.S. So we'll drill down on that as well. And tonight, the Vatican now revealing a bishop who recently met with the Pope has now tested positive. Tonight, at least 349 deaths reported in just the last 24 hours in Italy alone. The images are haunting. You've seen them. France, Spain, and Germany now locking down their countries. And ABC's James Longman tonight from London.
Italy has now had nearly 28,000 cases, with more than 2,100 deaths. And as the toll surges across the continent, Europe is now the epicenter of the COVID-19 crisis.
More cases are now being reported every day than were reported in China at the highest of its epidemic.
And now Italy's health service, one of the best in the world, is overwhelmed.
Now we are starting to discharge many patients, and this is very good, but as soon as we discharge a patient, we receive another one.
New admissions seen in tents outside hospitals to stop the spread inside. Thousands now fighting for their lives and their dignity.
We are almost at the same level as an emergency ward,
says nurse Alberto Poinelli at this tent hospital in Brescia. He says the main issue is the fear in patients who test positive, having to calm them, reassure them, and give them a plan they can trust. There can be no funerals in Italy, only names in the paper. Pages and pages of obituaries for those claimed by corona. The dead laid to rest unaccompanied, their mourning families, some of them millions still stuck at home. But Italy may have acted too late, and perhaps not strongly enough at first. South Korea was hit around the same time, but has recorded just 75 deaths. Europe holds its breath to avoid infection, today issuing a 30-day ban on all non-essential travel to the EU. The European effort, though, is not coordinated. But America's closest ally, Britain, slower than others, only today advising people to stay home.
We need people to start working from home where they possibly can.
World Health Organization advice is more direct.
Not quarantine alone, not social distancing alone, do it all.
Back in Italy, Easter services disrupted. The Pope's solo vigil offering up prayers on behalf of millions. And every night, tributes are laid down for their frontline heroes.
We lit up candles every night. We want to pay an invisible but strong homage to all the doctors and nurses that are constantly working to help us here.
Just incredible images from overseas, and we're going to continue to follow that and bring back in Dr. Jen Ashton, who's with us. And we were talking about this on World News Tonight, just the numbers when you compare with Italy. And take a look at these numbers at home, because in Italy, they actually have more doctors per person there than we have here in the U.S. 4 per 1,000 in Italy versus 2.6 per 1,000 here at home. Then when it comes to hospital beds, they have more hospital beds per capita than we do, 34 for every 10,000 people there. Here in the U.S., we have about 29 beds per 10,000 people. Jen, authorities have been saying that when it comes to what you're seeing in Italy and what you're seeing in France, that they're about 2 weeks ahead of the wave that we'll see here. So what does that tell you?
Well, that's exactly why you're hearing Dr. Fauci say we are behind. We have to take aggressive steps now so that down the road someone can say we've done too much. Really, time is of the essence when you're dealing with a virus like this. The other interesting thing, David, about Italy in particular, they have a different culture and society and style of living than we do. They tend to have multi-generations living together with a lot of contact, and they tend to have an older population, and I think that's why you're seeing some of the severity there.
Yeah, the cultural norms. It's just heartbreaking when you hear that they can't have funerals. They're just doing announcements in the newspapers there because they're in the throes of such a horrible, horrible moment in their nation's history. I want to bring in Dr. Vinayak Kumar because what many viewers at home don't realize is that we have a medical team that helps to support Dr. Jen on the air every single day here. And one of the things that we saw from over the weekend, when you hear that we're 2 weeks behind what we're seeing in France and Italy, is the social distancing and the lack thereof. We saw a lot of people out celebrating, of course, St. Patrick's, which I have done before, but not this weekend because of the guidelines that have been put out there. And also the beaches, for example, for spring break, they've now closed down some of those beaches. But would that have made a difference if we were able to get the word out and tell people, really, we have something coming. We're just 2 weeks behind what we're seeing in Europe.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. The key thing to keep in mind is that a lot of these young folks, they might think themselves as invulnerable, but as we talked about earlier, these guys can totally be asymptomatic. So you might be very close to a person who's asymptomatic and spread the disease amongst the youth. And more importantly, this is a public health concern. So those youth can actually infect the elderly, causing higher mortality rates.
Dr. Kumar, that's an excellent point. Think about our older generation. We have to protect them at the same time. And Jen, do we have any idea, because we've seen this question on Twitter as well, how many people one person can infect, what the data tells us so far?
We don't, but we know that the doubling time or the transmission dynamics of this is significant, and that basically every 7 days the number of cases doubles. So that is, again, why the clock is ticking, and these aggressive social distancing measures need to be put into action right now.
Which is why Dr. Fauci said we're in a race against the virus here in the U.S. All right, Jen, thanks. When we come back here tonight, the new normal in America, really dramatic, life-changing events. We've all witnessed it just over one weekend alone. We're with the wage earners now with no idea where their next paycheck will come from. We're also hearing from patients living in quarantine, those with confirmed cases and those waiting for their results, how life has changed in an instant for them. Our Live 2020 continues in a moment. There are more than 4,600 known cases of coronavirus here in the U.S. Of course, authorities believe that number could be vastly higher given the slow testing. Tonight, we're hearing from patients living through it, those with confirmed cases, those awaiting test results, and of course, those under self-quarantine because they or a family member might have been exposed to it. Our own Deborah Roberts is now in isolation with her husband, Al Roker, after a colleague of his tested positive. So Al and Deb are staying home just to be sure, not unlike so many already in this country.
My name is Rich.
Hi, my name is Lisa Murph.
James Kyle.
People all over the country are living with the COVID-19 diagnosis.
I'm from Crested Butte, Colorado.
And I am a New York City resident.
I too live in Manhattan, and after recently learning that my husband was exposed to somebody who tested positive for COVID-19, we're now self-isolating to be cautious and make sure we don't somehow contribute to the spread of the virus. For famously diagnosed basketball player Donovan Mitchell, his symptoms are currently mild.
I'm fine. Things are going well. Just in isolation, got a unique setup, but no fever, no symptoms as of right now.
But that wasn't the case for Lisa Merck.
I went to Hawaii on February 2nd with my husband. We did a 3-week travel trip.
Then life changed shortly after.
On February 19th, we were getting ready to come home, and I started getting just tiny little sniffle and didn't think anything of it. And then on February 20th, my back started hurting on the left side. My muscles started hurting. It felt like somebody was stabbing me with an ice pick.
My symptoms, I know a lot of people were asking, they came on as a dry cough, which led then to a fever and this extreme fatigue. I was doing my dishes and putting them in the dishwasher, and I became winded doing that, and that's something not normal.
I feel ill Sunday night. I had muscle pain, and the next day, Monday, afternoon, I start to cough and have fever. the shortness of breath.
Once I got the results, though, on Saturday, the doctor basically told me there's no way to treat it. They're treating the symptoms. So if you have, shortness of breath or anything like that, go to the hospital. But other than that, really just, nurse it at home with water and rest.
March 8th, I asked my husband to take me to the emergency room because I felt horrible. I felt extremely exhausted. I felt winded. Then they did the COVID-19 test. It was positive.
To be home is rough, but I've tried to think of creative ways with friends where, we FaceTime each other, we Skype, we play games online. And just remember, we got to just look out for each other. Hope this is over soon. We're going to make it through.
They are going to make it through, and we really all will as a community in this country. And we have to remember that Americans are staying home now, not just people waiting for test results, and you can only imagine anxiety for them, but for people staying home, Jen. And we want to bring in Dr. Jonathan Fader, clinical and performance psychologist, as well on this, because Jen, you and I have been saying we have to help people reduce the stress level as they're just sitting in their homes and taking care of their children and trying to keep life going as normal.
Sure, and I think we've all been feeling that, and I think that what helps with that is taking steps to prepare, because it gives you something productive to do, and it gives you a sense of having some control over a situation that really can seem out of control. And Dr. Fader, I have a question for you. With all of this social distancing that we're all doing now, it can feel very lonely and isolating. So how do you emotionally not distance yourself as you're physically distancing yourself?
Well, first, the most important thing is to control what we can control. As you were saying, we feel much better if we have something we can focus on. And so what I focus on with everybody I talk to about this, it's natural to be anxious. You need something. We all wash our hands, but what are we doing for our mentality? You have to have a hand wash for your mentality. So what I tell patients all the time is to have something you say to yourself to focus on what you control. We actually have an acronym, WIN, which stands for What's Important Now. And when you ask yourself that, you realize what's important now? What's important now is to focus on what I control. Do something to bring my breath in control. Or, we're talking about social distancing, but it doesn't have to be emotional distancing. Right. Reaching out, connecting to others can create more meaning and help you to really focus on what's important in your life and take your focus off of things you can't control that cause more anxiety.
I like that. Win. We'll remember that.
Exactly.
All right. Dr. Fader, thank you.
No, my pleasure.
Dr. Jen as well. When we come back, the new normal in just a moment. It is the new normal in America, a reordering of American life. Mothers and fathers now working from home. And late today, you heard the president saying for at least the next 15 days, avoid restaurants and bars to slow down the virus. And so Tamron Hall tonight on this American test.
So we're going to head out and check out a local diner here in the heart of New York City. Well, what we know is within 24 hours, diners like this one will be closed, only for takeout and delivery.
I've been in this neighborhood for 45 years. First time we'll close and possibly forever. A lot of these people have been with me, some for 35 years.
So in total, how many employees are you?
200.
200? Have they confided in you about, worried about rent and paying bills?
You can see fear in their eyes. You can see it. That's the worst part.
We're on our way to Garfield, New Jersey, where, like so many school districts around the country, the schools are shut down. And so many of the kids normally would get a breakfast or a lunch from school. Now, a parent or guardian has to line up to get those missed meals so that the kids can eat.
So you have a complete meal for breakfast and a complete lunch as well, complying with the USDA guidelines for nutrition.
Tell me how life is at home right now.
It's scary. The kids don't understand. Trying to explain to the kids is the biggest part. Like, this is serious right now.
This is the new normal now.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be the new normal.
We're heading about 40 minutes to another suburb to talk with a single mother, 6 children. She's a nurse. She is facing this alone with her children. I've also, just in case they don't have lights. Hi, how are you? I'm Tamron.
Nice to meet you.
You want me to keep my mask on, or how do you feel?
They don't matter.
Okay. All right, how are you?
I'm good.
Good. What is your #1 concern today?
Me is right now with the schooling. I only have like 2 laptops. I can't have all 5 of them in 2 laptops.
Who gets to do their homework first?
Well, I have my own laptop. She has her
You
own.
have your laptop. Do you have your laptop?
Use my mom's.
Use your mom.
Everybody use mine.
And that's how everyone will be able to do their homework.
Basically.
What scares you most now?
Me, it's just, for me, is if I was with myself, I would probably just be able to handle it on my own.
The babies are just growing up. They can still get sick. And they're really important to me. I just don't want anything to happen to them.
So much fear, and you can't forget that families live paycheck to paycheck.
Absolutely. That's why we wanted to do this story. 40% of Americans have just $400 for an emergency. So when you hear the story, you need to stock up on these things, put these things in your refrigerator. Where are you going to get the money from? And that's a part of this conversation that can't be forgotten. And that's what we saw all day long today, David.
All right, now in the hands of the Senate to help.
Absolutely.
Finally tonight here, even amid the devastating scenes playing out in Italy, they sent out word, let's all come out on our balconies and send a message of thanks. In Italy, they set a time this weekend and they all came out on their balconies to applaud doctors, nurses, and all healthcare workers on the front lines. In Rome, so many families and their appreciation. There was this image from Spain, the fitness instructor who knew so many are in quarantine, teaching from a rooftop. And here in the U.S., from California tonight, the famous comedian and actor Mel Brooks, this is his son.
Hi, Dad.
With a message about looking out for our seniors.
If I get the coronavirus, I'll probably be okay. But if I give it to him, he could give it to Carl Reiner, who could give it to Dick Van Dyke. And before I know it, I've wiped out a whole generation of comedic legends. Do your part. Don't be a spreader. Right, Dad? I'm going. Love you.
I love that. A really important message for all of us. Thank you for watching here again on this Live 2020. Our coverage of the coronavirus continues later tonight on Nightline and, of course, first thing in the morning on GMA. And I'll see you all this week on World News Tonight. Dr. Jen and the entire medical unit, I thank you too. We'll do this again. Good night.
An all-new 2020 starts right now.
A chaotic scene. Local pastor Matt Baker has arrived home to find his wife, Carrie, unresponsive in their bedroom.
I put my head to her chest and no air coming out, felt for pulse, nothing.
An EMT told me that my daughter was dead.
There was a piece of paper on the end table and something didn't set right.
Your wife took her own life, and it's pretty obvious.
I just kept saying there's no way.
Was there an autopsy done initially?
There was no autopsy done.
We don't think Carrie killed herself. We know she didn't.
Your assignment for today.
We're investigating.
We did. It was nonstop all the time.
I would go, "Good morning, angels."
Charlie's Angels of Waco. They were this group of strong women who were not going to just let this go.
You're presented with a crime scene that's not really a crime scene, right?
Things aren't adding up. I have to know the truth. What are you talking about? Murder?
EMS, what's your emergency?
My wife is laying in the bed. Her lips are blue, hands are cold.
It was just before midnight here in the small town of Hewitt, Texas, on the outskirts of Waco. Beloved minister Matt Baker comes home to find his wife unresponsive in their bedroom. Their two young daughters asleep in their beds. Matt calls 911.
Are you in there with her right now? Is she conscious?
No,
she's breathing. Did you see what happened to her?
No, I do not know.
The ambulance is on the way, okay? Are you right beside her right now?
Yes.
Matt had been beside his wife, Carrie, since they met at a Baptist summer camp and fell in love.
I was the assistant director and she was one of the camp counselors. And from day one, we kind of hit it off.
Carrie fell head over heels. She told the family that she'd met a good Christian boy and she'd fallen in love. Her faith was the core of who she was. And so it was very important to her that she found someone whose faith was aligned with hers. Matt grew up in Kerrville. He too came from a very religious family. Carrie, she was always the bubbly little blonde and just loved life. People were drawn to Carrie.
She was so funny. And when Carrie laughed, she laughed with her whole body. Everyone in the room just could feel her because she was just so free-spirited.
I don't think there was ever a question Carrie was right or not right for me. It was we moved fast. We met in May and married in August.
We tried to talk Carrie into waiting a little longer, and she really did not want to. Carrie was looking for a husband with morals and values that were similar to what she had, and Matt, she believed, had those.
That you may fear the Lord your God, to keep all his statutes and his commandments, which I command you.
She was marrying a Baptist minister. How good is that? You couldn't pick a better guy than Matt Baker.
Can you say Merry Christmas? No, here, take your pacifier out. Say Christmas. Can you give a kiss?
The kids came quickly.
Oh.
They look like this perfect young couple with this beautiful baby. Carrie wanted children. She always had, and she was a wonderful mother.
She feels so pink.
And then Cassidy came. It looked to the outside world like everything was just coming together for the Bakers.
If you know our children or not, this is my wife, Carrie, and it's special for me to do this because they are my children and our children.
Cassidy, hi.
But it was just after Cassidy's first birthday when the family was dealt some heartbreaking news about her.
And it turned out that she had a brain tumor. Carrie was devastated, absolutely devastated. We went to Cook Children's Hospital in Fort Worth.
It was a scary time, and she struggled in pediatric ICU for 60 days. They started chemotherapy on her.
They didn't know if she would make it through, but she did.
We get to bring her home. That was one of the happiest days.
She needed a lot of care when she came home, but she was expected to recover.
The Academy Awards were playing that night, and I remember staying up watching that. I went in and checked on Cassidy, and she was fine. I gave her a kiss and said a prayer, checked on her older sister, kissed her, said a prayer, and went to bed.
A little while later, he got back up and went and checked on her a second time. This time he started screaming. Carrie jumped up, ran into the room, found Cassidy, and she wasn't breathing at all.
I yell at my wife as I'm taking her out of the bed, and I put her on the floor and I begin CPR. She calls 911.
They brought Cassidy to the hospital, but they weren't able to save her. Cassidy died.
I know we dealt with it differently. We would have discussions about it and pray about it. And it was a struggle.
Carrie bled grief after Cassidy died.
And she was having a difficult time sleeping.
Carrie had been taking over-the-counter sleep aid since Cassidy died.
She could not calm down at night without sleeping pills.
She started writing journals, and she just poured out incredible sorrow. She thought she saw Cassidy wherever she went. It was horrible. What helped Carrie, in addition to her faith and her family, was she saw a grief counselor for a year. She talked and talked things through. The death of a child always puts a terrible strain on a marriage. Carrie really fought to keep that marriage together. She loved Matt. She wanted it to work out.
I just told Carrie that men and women often grieve in different ways.
In time, the Bakers and their daughter tried to move ahead with their lives.
It was a year and a half after Cassidy's death. Carrie found out that she was pregnant. Carrie said that the baby was coming by the grace of God.
There was definitely a fear in my wife that I had not seen before. A fear of what if. I lost one, what if we lose another one? I can't handle that.
She loved her girls, and she was so strong for them. Cassidy's life was cut short, but she had them.
The four of them looked like this perfect little family. You would think, oh, look, they just have it all.
EMS, what's your emergency?
Almost exactly 7 years after the death of her daughter, Cassidy, Carrie is now seemingly lifeless on their bedroom floor while her husband works to save her.
Do compressions first, okay? Just keep doing compressions.
Waco is a great city. It's very religious. You can't walk a block without seeing a church.
It's small enough that most people are just a degree or two away from knowing everybody else.
Hewitt, Texas is a suburb of Waco. Back then, maybe 12,000 people. They have their own city, government, police.
And when Carrie and Matt moved in, they quickly became part of the community.
But in early April 2006, right here in the heart of the Bible Belt, a chaotic scene is unfolding inside this house. Local pastor Matt Baker has arrived home to find his wife, Carrie, unresponsive in their bedroom.
And what's the problem? Tell me exactly what happened.
My wife is laying in the bed, and her lips are blue, hands are cold.
Is she conscious?
No, she's
not. Breathing?
No, she's not breathing at all, no pulse or anything.
I put my head to her chest and didn't see or feel her chest rising, no air coming out, felt for pulse, nothing.
Okay, listen carefully. I need you to get her laying flat on her back on the ground and remove any pillows, okay?
Okay, put her on the floor.
Correct.
Put her on the bed now. Put her on.
All right, she needs to be on the floor, yes, sir.
Okay.
The 911 operator tells Matt to do CPR, to put Carrie on the floor and start CPR.
Do that and tell me when you're done.
Okay, hold on. Okay, hold on. Oh, my. Okay, hold on.
I did not want the EMTs to come in and see her naked. And so I put her clothes on her, for her. And as I'm taking her off the bed, fluid comes out of her mouth onto the floor, and it smells of alcohol.
You're going to push down firmly 2 inches with only your lower hand touching her chest. You're going to do it fast and hard 400 times.
400?
400 times. It's the latest we've been instructed to do, okay?
400.
Twice per second.
Rest it off?
After the 400. You're going
400
to, correct. It's going to be about twice per second. It'll take you about 3.5 minutes to do it, okay? So start right now. I'll tell you when to stop. All right.
While on the phone, Matt asks the 911 operator to call Carrie's parents because he says his daughters are also in the house.
I need to get a hold of her parents. They live in town, and I want them to come over and be with the kids.
Get somebody else started on this, okay?
Thank you.
We received a phone call from the 911 operator telling us that we needed to get over to my daughter's house, that there had been an accident. We needed to get over there immediately.
Oh, she's got foam or something coming out of her nose. Okay, someone's at the front door. I gotta go.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
All right.
My name is Michael Irvin. I was a patrol officer with the city of Hewitt, and at that time I had only had about 6 months of actual law enforcement experience. I was the first officer to respond to the house. There was actually an EMT that met me in the front yard. Matt Baker actually met us outside and then walked us in, and he took us straight into the bedroom where his wife was at.
The EMTs go in and they find Carrie on the floor. She's wearing a t-shirt and a pair of underpants.
And they come in and I step away and let them start working.
There was a glass there that was actually still cold, if I remember correctly, which led into his account of what happened that night.
It'd been a typical Friday night that Matt says started with him and Carrie sharing a drink before heading to the local Y.
And we had a wine cooler that I'd purchased, and so she drank one, I drank one. We take our oldest daughter to swim practice that night. On the way, my wife started saying her stomach was hurting her. She just felt nauseated, wasn't feeling very good.
After the family returns home, Matt says Carrie still wasn't feeling well, and after taking a bath, she heads to bed while he starts the bedtime rituals with her daughters.
It's a Friday night, so they could stay up later. They could stay up till 10 o'clock watching TV. Came back, laid down with my wife. She's still in bed, half asleep, and she wants another drink. She has a drink, I have one too. She goes to sleep, wakes up at about 11 o'clock, and asks me to go get a movie. And I was like, it's 11 o'clock. She goes, well, go get this movie for me and gas up, because we have a busy day tomorrow.
He left to go get a movie. While he was gone, he came back and he discovered that he couldn't get back in.
Walk to the bedroom door and it's closed. And I try the knob and it's locked. And I knock on it and call her name, Carrie, and there's no response.
Matt says he finds a small screwdriver to try to open the door.
So I pop the lock and open the door and find her in bed. And it was very eerily similar to walking in the room when I found Cassidy.
As EMTs in the Baker residence work on Carrie, police take note of those wine coolers on the bedside table and something else.
There was this bottle of Unisom that it was almost empty.
She had been taking sleeping pills to go to sleep since Cassidy passed away and started taking more and more of them. And we had discussions that you've got to stop doing this. This is too many. This can be dangerous.
We ran out of the car, and as I started running up to the front of the house, an EMT person stood in front of me and grabbed me and told me that my daughter was dead.
I just kept saying, there's no way.
There was a piece of paper on the end table, and something didn't set right. For me, it all pointed back to that note.
A frenzied scene has been unfolding in the middle of the night at the Baker's home. Matt Baker's wife is dead, and there's a note.
On the bedside table, there's a suicide note.
That was the first time that the word suicide entered my mind. I had no idea at that moment what had happened.
In the note, there was reference to Cassidy. Matt explained to me that Cassidy was their daughter. And it's a very difficult time for Carrie because of the anniversary of Cassidy passing away. The first person I remember showing up after me, I explained all the things that Matt had showed me, and I took a step back.
In Texas, in small counties where they don't have medical examiners, the justices of the peace decide what happens when there's an unexplained or a sudden death.
I do remember in that phone call, it was Judge Martin.
They told him they had a suicide note and they had alcohol and that they had pills. And Billy Martin did not order an autopsy.
It was classified as a suicide based on the preliminary investigation and what they saw at the scene.
Police involvement at that point is done.
Carrie Baker's family and her church community are shocked by her suicide.
I hurt for her. I hurt that someone hurt enough that they made that choice.
We're just trying to put one foot in front of the other and get through this.
This is
Less than 1 week after Carrie's funeral, Pastor Matt Baker is back at the pulpit here at Crossroads Baptist delivering the Easter sermon. He tells his congregation that just like Jesus, Carrie has risen up to heaven.
There was always the desire in her to be with a daughter that was in heaven now. And she did voice that several times, that Cassidy needed her, she needed Cassidy.
This was my wife's Bible that she carried for years.
Matt had given her a Bible years earlier, and she started writing her feelings in the margins.
She says, I want to go with Cassidy. She could never let go of Cassidy. It was such a strong hold on her.
The week Carrie died, she had a session with her grief counselor and also saw a doctor who prescribed her medication.
The next day she ripped up the prescription. She wouldn't fill it.
After finding out Carrie died, I had talked to my sister Kay. I just kept saying there's no way.
Carrie would never take her own life.
And then that's when she told me about a visit she got from Joanne.
Joanne Bristol is Carrie's grief counselor and also friends with Carrie's aunt, Kay Bailey.
She had had a session with Carrie earlier that week. She had shared with me what Carrie had shared with her, that Carrie found some crushed pills in Matt's briefcase.
Joanne Bristol also shared that detail and others with police in the days following Carrie's death.
My sister Kay and I, we all started talking, not around Linda, but we all were sitting there going, what are we going to do? Because we knew so much about Matt.
We worked at a church camp together. Matt, I believe, had been written up at that particular camp for harassing girls that I went to school with.
There was also an alleged incident from his college days involving a fellow student.
I was afraid of him. I was angry with him. He took away virtually my young adulthood.
Laura Wilson filed a complaint against Matt, saying he sexually assaulted her.
We were both student trainers for the athletic department. He was a sophomore trainer and I was a freshman trainer.
She was cleaning the bathrooms. Matt came in and offered to help.
He came up behind me and he pinned my arms behind my back and started trying to kiss me. I kept telling him to stop. He came up from behind me, picked me up, sat me on his lap, and he began running his hand between my legs. I was struggling to get away. He didn't stop with the kiss. He didn't stop with the touching until he was ready to stop. Now I'm left with myself, violated, in shock, not knowing what to do.
All I can tell you is when she left the facility, was in tears, but nothing that I did.
After the assault happened, his words to me were, "I never meant to hurt you."
At the time, Laura told a college staffer about the alleged assault. Matt was not disciplined.
I dropped out, dealt with recurring nightmares, dealt with trust issues in relationships. It derailed my life for many, many years. I became a different person.
She eventually filed a report with police years later. They began looking into the allegations, but stopped once they realized the statute of limitations had passed. Matt Baker denies assaulting Laura or harassing any female campers.
Things have been said that can be misconstrued, misinterpreted, but I can say this, I never accosted anybody.
Throughout Matt and Carrie's marriage, rumors of alleged inappropriate sexual behavior would continue to follow the preacher, but his wife stood by him.
She loved Matt. When Carrie heard allegations that Matt had been inappropriate with young women, she was his staunchest defender. She told one young woman, when you marry a Baptist preacher, women are going to come forward and make false allegations, and you have to protect them.
Carrie believed him, and we believed Carrie. She was telling us the truth, as she knew it.
I think there's a presumption with a man of God that they have a certain character and a certain ethical base, and we believe that.
Linda's sisters had hoped that by talking to her about the various past allegations against Matt, she might start to see him in a different light. But she didn't. She still had faith in her son-in-law.
My sisters came over, and I told them, let's just grieve and let this go.
But the family wouldn't let it go.
It started with the cell phone records.
And Linda soon makes a startling discovery.
Something wasn't right.
Over the years, since her daughter Cassidy's death, Carrie Baker was in and out of counseling, dealing with her grief, especially around the time of year when Cassidy died.
Anytime you got close to the anniversary of the death of Cassidy or her birthday or holidays, there was definitely a deep sadness.
But there was more going on that year. There was the fact that she was uncertain about her relationship with Matt. She sensed that something was very wrong. After Carrie's death, Linda's sisters sat down with Linda and said, we don't believe that Carrie committed suicide.
While Linda may have still been processing her daughter's loss, her family's emotions had quickly turned to suspicion.
I remember Nancy saying, Linda, have you ever considered that perhaps Carrie didn't take her life? I remember stammering and saying, oh, what are you talking about? Murder?
We don't think Carrie killed herself. We know she didn't.
The family decides to tell Linda what they say they learned from Carrie's therapist.
Carrie had shared with her that she'd found some crushed pills in Matt's briefcase, and she was afraid that Matt might possibly try to kill her.
She said, I think Matt's trying to kill me. And then she started laughing and she said, oh no, Matt would never do that.
But at the same time, I thought, this would make more sense because I knew that Carrie would never take her own life.
I think if truly Carrie went and said that and was fearful for her life, the counselor should have done more and didn't. Looking back, I think it was a scream, the first scream in a series of screams that took place that week of, I'm hurting more than you think I am.
Murder, I mean, that's just not something that I could wrap my head around. I needed time to think, to process. This was too difficult for me to be able to discuss.
But then shortly after Carrie's death, Linda says she began to notice Matt was keeping her granddaughters away from her. No more babysitting, no more invitations to school events.
At that point, she started to feel a little different. What was going on here and why was this happening?
Linda remembers Matt and Carrie's cell phones were part of her family plan, so she decides to have a look at the phone bill.
The first really odd thing she noticed was that Matt had continued to call Carrie's cell phone weeks after Carrie had died. It made no sense at all, and then it all started to click. Matt's given Carrie's phone to someone.
And I think you said calling all angels, but we all went over to your house. You said, we need to get together and talk.
At that point, Linda started to think that maybe her sisters were right, and maybe they really did need to look into this.
It started with the cell phone.
And I immediately figured out it was Vanessa Bowles.
Vanessa Bowles was the daughter of the music minister at Crossroads Church where Matt was the preacher.
The relationship really started between my wife and her. They became friends.
Vanessa had a little girl that reminded Carrie of the baby she had lost.
There were only 3 young families in the church that had small children, so we naturally just kind of congregated together because we had similar interests. We were friends.
Vanessa would later describe in a recorded interview how she says the friendship evolved.
So I just got divorced, and it was nice to have someone, to talk to,
Right.
Who was in a pastoral position.
And she gives her explanation of why she has Carrie's phone.
We were starting to talk and become friends. Then I said, don't call my cell because my mom pays for my meds and I don't want to run over during the day. I've done that many times before. And he was like, well, I still have Carrie's phone, so I can give that to you.
Maybe Matt was simply seeking comfort in the friendship of a fellow churchgoer. But for Linda, those phone bills had set off alarm bells.
Linda went to the Hewitt Police Department. She showed them the phone bills, but they weren't interested. This was a done case. It was over as far as they were concerned.
That's when Linda said, I need my angels over here.
I would email them. I would go, good morning, angels.
She would always tell us, you need to do this. You need, and
here's your assignment for today.
We're investigating.
We did. It was nonstop all the time.
The assignments Linda gave out involved going through the garbage.
And Charlie was doing some digging right alongside her angels as well. She researched whether overdosing on a sleep aid could have really killed Carrie. And she questioned Matt about those alleged crushed pills.
I talked to Matt about the crushed pills.
My wife said she found him in my briefcase when she was looking for a pen. She said, well, did a kid where you work put him in your bag?
Matt claims that, unknown to him, some kids at work may have been spitting out pills into his briefcase.
But that seemed odd because the pills didn't look like they'd been spit out.
What he said couldn't have happened.
And so Kay called Judge Billy Martin to find out why he had ruled Carrie's death a suicide.
I talked to him about the suicide note, and he mentioned it being signed, and I said it was not. And he goes, well, you need to talk to the police. I said, we've already done this, and we just want somebody to investigate it more.
And it was about that time where Matt's story no longer made sense. There were inconsistencies, outright lies, and we needed more answers.
So following the family's urging, police bring Pastor Matt Baker in for questioning.
Well, I just want to sit and talk to him.
Questions needed to be asked, and questions needed to be answered.
"31-year-old Carrie Baker has been found dead in her home. It was deemed a suicide by police, but her family began investigating on their own, and they urged police to question her husband, preacher Matt Baker.
I just want to sit and talk to him, I just want to talk about what happened that night. Absolutely. That way we can clear all this up, because I'm sure you know what I'm getting at, okay, as far as, Linda, you know what I'm saying?
It was a very odd week. But not behavior that would have raised red flags.
Right.
If that makes sense. It was one of those deals that I knew she was depressed.
The conversation continues, with Matt sharing his own view on what he believes might have happened.
I think I left about 11 or so. I wasn't gone maybe 40 minutes.
You left the house and went down to the gas station?
I wasn't even gone long at all.
Okay.
And that was a strange thing about it is I question where she would have taken the medicine. Personally, this is my opinion. I don't think the medicine is what killed her. I think she threw up into her mouth, but was knocked out enough and choked on it. So no, I don't know if that's just me trying to put stuff together to make it, I don't know.
Okay. Like I said, that's all I just wanted to sit and holler at you about. One last thing, to kind of quell everything. If I asked you to take a polygraph test, would you be willing to do so? Okay.
Matt eventually passes a polygraph arranged by his attorney. Upset that police continue to consider Carrie's death a suicide, Linda pulls together a team of her own.
Linda ended up making an appointment to talk to a former federal prosecutor.
Now in private practice, Bill Johnston had been a federal prosecutor in Waco, Texas.
The Branch Davidian complex in Waco, Texas goes up in flames.
11 of the survivors now face murder and conspiracy charges in connection with the killing of 4 federal agents.
And in 1993, he was part of the team prosecuting the 11 surviving Branch Davidians.
Those agents did not die in vain. Mrs. Doolin came to me and she said, "I've heard maybe you can help me."
She explained to Bill that she doesn't believe her daughter took her own life, so she'd been working on Carrie's case with her angels.
What Charlie's Angels were bringing to us was invaluable. They were this group of strong women who were not going to just let this go. They brought a series of stories about Matt's conduct at different points in his life.
Bill pulled together his own posse. He brought together retired lawmen to take over this investigation.
I called them my guys, and they became as invested in this case as if they were fighting for their own child.
The biggest thing was to get the body exhumed, get an actual autopsy, and find out what had actually happened to Carrie Baker, how she'd actually died.
We started unraveling this thing bit by bit by bit.
Matt Coffon is a member of the legendary Texas Rangers. He joins the team and reviews the evidence on the case.
There are red flag after red flag that something was not right. It was so compelling that I could not automatically agree with the Hewitt police investigation. So I thought, okay, let's kind of break it down.
You're presented with a crime scene that's not really a crime scene, right?
These are photographs. As you can tell, there's just not much to them. There were so many things early on in this investigation that just did not match. And part of it was Matt Baker's explanation of his timeline.
He says he left and then he came back, and it was such a short time that she couldn't have died within that period.
That was the theory that we were operating on. His timetable did not really match up. This is an overall view of Hewitt, Texas, and it's not large.
And these locations are very close to each other.
Minutes apart, especially that time of night.
The team was also troubled by Carrie's suicide note, which Officer Michael Irving says was pointed out by Matt.
He just said, there's a suicide note, suicide note, suicide note. So he did direct me straight to the note.
The so-called suicide note was typed.
It's not signed, and that should be a red flag to any investigator. Let's take this a little bit further. It says, tell my mom and dad that I love them too. In this case, two is T-O, not comma, T-O-O.
She was a teacher. She could spell.
Yes.
Something didn't set right. And for me, it all pointed back to that note. That suicide note. I didn't speak up. At that time, I'd been a police officer for 6 months. If I could go and turn back time, there are a lot of things I would have done differently.
Was there an autopsy done initially?
There was no autopsy done. And so at this point, we decided that we needed to have tissue samples from Carrie's body, so we wanted to have that body exhumed.
At the time of the Hewitt police investigation, they concluded Carrie had died by suicide of over-the-counter sleep medication.
One of the tasks that Linda took on for herself was investigating Unisom. She found that it would have taken a great deal to have caused Carrie's death, and that she wouldn't have died quickly.
We came up with clues that made us believe that perhaps there were prescription medications given to her without her knowledge.
Nearly 4 months after Carrie's death, the Texas Rangers, in conjunction with Hewitt Police, are able to get Judge Martin to sign an order allowing for the exhumation of Carrie's body.
As we gathered information from various sources, determined we need to go that route.
By this time, we were working pretty closely with a detective at the Hewitt Police Department.
It was critical that they had an autopsy.
We had a lot of circumstantial evidence, but we needed some scientific evidence, something that a prosecutor can hold in their hands and say, okay, now we may have something here.
What else would the Charlie's Angels of Waco and their investigative team learn?
A photograph was found on Matt Baker's computer. He tried to delete it.
We didn't know if she might have even been involved.
Was Carrie's death a terrible tragedy or something much more sinister?
A manipulative liar wearing the mask of God came into my life.
The Hewitt preacher's wife was found dead. Her death originally ruled a suicide. But is that how the mother of two really died?
Maybe someone had held that coarse material against her nose.
I think Carrie, on some level, understood that she was in danger.
But you also discover in that Bible, Lord, I'm asking you to protect me from harm.
He's having a conversation with the 911 operator, and he's not winded, and he's perfectly calm while he's talking. I'm going to tell you right now, I don't think it happened that way.
You don't quickly dress a dead body.
Here's a picture of Matt Baker. Is this the other woman?
I'm gonna tell what you did. And he said, you better not do that.
Sometimes faith can be used to manipulate and to control people.
Preachers, the good ones are great. The bad ones have the most power of anybody.
Here they were, the police, in the home of a Baptist minister with a suicide note and sleeping pills and a bottle of alcohol. Well, the police at that point aren't thinking murder. They're thinking that Carrie committed suicide.
Texas pastor Matt Baker had lost a young daughter years earlier. He now appears to be facing yet another tragedy, the suicide of his wife, Carrie. But her family isn't buying it.
I knew that Carrie would never take her own life.
We will fight for the truth.
Could Carrie have been murdered? The Hewitt police, now collaborating with Texas Ranger Matt Coffon, who's been working with Carrie's family, obtained an order to exhume Carrie's body. And the autopsy results are now in.
In her muscle tissue, there was a presence of Ambien. And that was huge, huge.
And at the time of her death, she didn't have a prescription for Ambien.
No.
The autopsy now lists Carrie's manner of death as undetermined.
Now you're in undetermined land. Now you're in a mystery. Now let's solve the mystery.
Bill Johnston and his team continue to dig, now taking a closer look at those few crime scene photos.
What's this?
This is a picture of Carrie's arm. And what you're seeing here is you're seeing the beginning of lividity, the purplish color from the pooling of the blood. You know, when the heart pumps, it pumps through the veins and the arteries. When the heart stops, everything settles to its lowest point. It's gravity. We have lividity set in the body, and that takes time. And this was a problem with Bill Johnston and his team.
And so we found the person who wrote the book on crime scene reconstruction, Tom Bevel.
The first responders from the medical field are saying that lividity either was setting in or set, which in that time frame, that's a problem.
So this is their home right there, right?
Yeah, this is their home. So if he leaves his house at 11, 45 to 55 minutes later, lividity could not have been set in as it was in the photographs, all right?
Cawthon and the team believe that Carrie was likely dead before Matt Baker left his home. So if Carrie's suicide was a homicide, how was she killed? The photograph showed something more.
In one of the photographs, there is a small abrasion that is to the bridge of her nose.
We surmised that this was very likely done using a throw pillow off of a couch. It was kind of a coarse material that very likely could have caused an abrasion.
Indicating that maybe someone had held that coarse material against her nose.
That's right.
The abrasion on Carrie's nose, it's not noted in the autopsy, but the presence of the generic form of Ambien is. So Bill Johnston wants to look into Matt's digital trail. He sues Matt for wrongful death and obtains access to his computer records.
A month before Carrie's death, they discovered Matt was on the computer searching for the term overdose by sleeping pills.
I did search that. I did research to see, can you overdose? Is that even a possibility that I need to worry about? My wife overdosing on sleeping pills.
As they continued to go through the computer, they found where he tried to buy Ambien, had moved it into a cart to purchase it.
And that bit of forensics in the computers now hard linked into the toxicology forensics. Our theory became, the Ambien in the wine cooler, he got her sleepy with that so he could later suffocate her. That was our theory.
And remember those writings in Carrie's Bible about Cassidy? Well, those were written years earlier, but there was a recent troubling entry dated just 5 days before Carrie's death, which says, I feel like I have so much worry. Lord, I'm asking you to protect me from harm. I am not sure what is going on with Matt. What does that indicate?
It's ominous. It's almost like she is afraid of him.
Looking back on it, they were predictive.
I think Carrie, on some level, understood that she was in danger, and she didn't realize that at that point that he was involved with somebody else.
During this investigation, we got a clue from a woman who worked in a jewelry store and said within a couple of weeks after Carrie's death, Matt Baker comes into the jewelry store with a woman, and they're looking at engagement rings.
No, we were not. One of our rules for our kids was when they turn 6 years old, they can get earrings. And so we began looking for jewelry, earrings.
Here's a picture of Matt Baker. Is this the other woman?
This is Vanessa Bulls. She was the other woman. Now, this is a photograph that we found on his computer in trash.
We knew there was going to be a birthday party, and we took a picture of all the girls and Matt and Vanessa.
It wasn't long after Carrie's death when people came over. They didn't see any pictures of Carrie at all, but there was a picture of Vanessa with the girls. 2 of Carrie and Matt's friends came to help with the party, and one of them stayed overnight, and she saw Matt sitting on the couch with Vanessa's head on his lap.
To Carrie's family, it was clear that a romantic relationship had developed between Matt and Vanessa. 4 months after Carrie's death, police believe Vanessa Bulls just might be the key to solving this case. So they bring her to the Hewitt Police Station for questioning.
It's just scary.
I know. Sorry to keep you waiting. Like I said, I'm going to ask you some questions about that, Carrie.
Okay.
This doesn't mean the truth. Okay?
I'm sorry, this is just scary.
I know.
4 months after Carrie's death, Vanessa Bulls, the woman who appears to have become romantically involved with Matt Baker, is now sitting at the police station, answering questions about how that relationship unfolded.
Every once in a while, he started calling just to chat, just kind of asking about my divorce and, kind of saying how, like, God would work everything out.
How long was that it took it to progress to him calling a couple times a day?
I want to say a couple of weeks. I'd be lying if I said it wasn't nice to have someone who, had 2 daughters and would possibly, be the dad to my child.
Sure.
Having an affair that predated the killing, that would be big evidence.
Did you ever meet him romantically?
No.
Never? Okay.
After yes. After his wife passed away.
Okay.
Because I didn't think there was anything wrong.
2020 obtained emails, never before broadcast, that show Carrie and Matt's relationship unraveling in the weeks before Carrie's death, at the same time as Matt and Vanessa's phone calls start to heat up.
She sensed that something was very wrong.
In one of those emails, Matt blames Carrie for Cassidy's death, writing you wanted her to be pain-free, and then telling her your prayer was the one that was answered.
That made her angry, and she was going to leave him. I suggested they get counseling.
Back in that police interview, Vanessa, who at this point had broken things off with Matt, seems open to believing he could have murdered Carrie.
Do you think that he had anything to do with her death?
I think anything's possible now.
The Hewitt preacher's wife was found dead in her home. Her death, originally ruled a suicide. But now, nearly a year and a half later, a judge has set a hearing to try to determine if that is how the mother of 2 really died.
A formal inquest into Carrie's death was held, but in the end, the justice of the peace, who initially declared it a suicide, made the same determination that the autopsy had made a year earlier.
That Carrie Lynn Baker's manner and cause of death shall be recorded as undetermined.
So what do you do?
And at some point, we have to do what we think is right. And in this case, it was to get an arrest warrant for Matt Baker.
Even though it wasn't ruled a homicide, nearly a year and a half after Carrie's death, Matt Baker is arrested for her murder.
Matt Baker is accused of drugging his wife Carrie with sleeping pills and then suffocating her with a pillow.
There's no way that he could take a life. I know my sons, and I just don't believe he could do that.
And we have breaking news for you now from the McLennan County Jail.
Matt Baker could be released any time now. His $200,000 bond has been paid in cash.
My best decision was to move away from there and to move back here to my hometown, where I felt support and felt loved.
And it's in Kerrville, about 200 miles from Hewitt, that our cameras catch up with Matt and his daughters.
This is a little bit of everything. They have a cafe where they take flowers and they crush them up and pretend it's chicken noodle soup.
Don't be embarrassed.
2020 gets a glimpse of life with their father.
Favorite thing to do is play with my dad.
After losing their mother.
Each have their own,
Mine, hers.
and they separate pants from shirts.
I pick mine and then he picks hers.
But I have to okay hers.
Yes.
Why?
Because she likes spaghetti straps.
But I don't wear them to school. I'm not allowed.
And during this last year, he was a single parent, working and taking care of these girls. They emotionally attached to the dad very strongly, the younger one especially.
This is my favorite toy because it used to be my dad's when he was a little kid.
Once Matt was released, he went on kind of a press tour.
He tried to tell the world his side of the story.
Would Matt Baker have the nerve to actually interview for and do a photo shoot with Texas Monthly? Yes, he would.
Pretty much anybody who wanted to talk with him, Matt Baker had an open door.
Tonight on 2020, was it suicide or murder?
The story goes national, and Matt Baker sits down with 2020 for an interview. He proclaims his innocence and denies he had an affair with Vanessa Bowles.
It was a friend, it was a very good friend, but there's nothing there now. I don't believe in adultery, I don't believe in divorce.
The problem was that for him was that he changed his story a little bit every time he gave one.
Matt tells 2020 that it was the police who found that suicide note.
One of the police officers found it and handed it to me, and I held it in my hands for a brief moment, and I looked at the first line, and I handed it back and said, I can't read it right now.
But listen as Matt refers to that suicide note in his 911 call.
My wife is laying in the bed, and her lips are blue, hands are cold, and there's a note that says, "I'm sorry," basically.
There's no way I could ever have hurt my wife. I loved her. She's the mother of my children, and I miss her, and I did not hurt my wife.
We felt validated with the arrest, but I'm going to tell you right now, all the arrests in the world mean nothing without a good prosecution.
The Texas Rangers made an arrest on the case, and the case was then transferred to our office. And I believed that Matt had killed Carrie, but I didn't feel like that we had the proof to take it to a trial and get a conviction.
If you get an acquittal, it's over.
6 months after Matt Baker's arrest, the murder charge is dismissed after prosecutors failed to indict him.
It was frustrating, but I mean, we knew it would take time and we weren't going to stop.
People started running around town with bumper stickers that said "Justice for Carrie." "Love trumps evil" was underneath it.
We had truth on our side. We had God on our side.
We had Bill Johnston, and we were going to continue civilly.
But his story was not adding up anymore.
You wouldn't have left those two girls there if you didn't think it was safe.
And would Matt's account of what he says he did when he found Carrie check out?
He's not winded, and he's perfectly calm while he's talking. I'm going to tell you right now, I don't think it happened that way, John. I just don't.
When the criminal case was stalled and it wasn't going forward, Bill Johnston filed a wrongful death case, and that allowed him to subpoena Matt Baker for a deposition.
The lower left.
2.5 years after the death of his wife, Matt Baker is on the hot seat, answering questions under oath about the night she died.
About 10:45-ish, a little before 11, she asked me if I could run a couple of errands.
Now, had she sort of refreshed herself and gotten awake and got forward thinking by that time?
It was still kind of that half awake, just talking, but still kind of real drowsy.
I'm conjecturing that it went through his mind that maybe she already took all the sleeping pills before he left.
Was she aware enough that you could observe that she could handle if the kids needed her, for instance?
I felt that she probably could.
She had to be fine, or else she was incapacitated, and he was a bad father, and he just left his girls with an incapacitated person. Which one is it, Matt? So he chose the high road, that yes, Carrie was fine. So if Carrie's fine, she's not getting ready to die.
Bill was able to ask him question after question after question and get answers from him that were very helpful.
While you have the phone pressed against your shoulder, you put on her panties first, is that correct?
I believe that's right.
And then what did you do?
And I put on her shirt.
Okay, and she's on the bed at this time?
Correct.
But Matt had told police a different version of how he dressed Carrie that night.
So I put the panties on her in the bed as I was getting her out, and then when she was on the floor, I put her shirt on.
The clothing, it appears consistent, especially her panties, as to how you would typically find if they were put on by the individual, not somebody else, with a lady who is not able to assist.
If he would lie about dressing her, why? And he wanted to explain their body was cold by saying she was nude on top of the bed, as if she would have aired out, cooled off. Just a stick figure put where she came to rest once you moved. How difficult was that to move her?
I guess at the time you don't even think about it. You just do what you have to do.
We wanted to know if Matt's story holds up, so we asked Texas Ranger Matt Cawthon to put it to the test with a dummy roughly the same weight as Carrie's at the time of her death.
He would have had to reposition the body. I'm going to tell you right now, I don't think it happened that way, John. I just don't.
How much time would he have had to do this between the call to 911 and the chest compressions?
About 2 minutes.
To dress her, put her body on the floor, all while on the phone with 911. We're going to see if you can do this. I'm going to put a stopwatch to it, and here we go. And you're doing it as fast as you can.
Well, I'm doing it the best I can. And I feel the phone about to fall.
We're at 48 seconds now. We're about 1:20.
He's having a conversation with the 911 operator, and he's not winded, and he's perfectly calm while he's talking to the 911 operator.
That's 1:57 seconds. And then
just to get her dressed. That doesn't include the removing from the bed and the chest compressions.
And I know how to do CPR.
Oh, you do?
In listening to the 911 call, it sounded phony.
Do I need to go unlock the front door?
I'll let you know when they start getting close, okay?
Okay.
I think you'd give himself an Oscar, and I'd give him a Rotten Tomato.
Just keep doing compression.
I would not have known at the time when I got there that he had been doing CPR.
You're still doing compressions?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
he did not sound winded on the phone.
No, not at all. He didn't have to do chest compressions because she was already dead. He killed her, I think, before he left to go run alibi errands.
Despite Matt's inconsistencies, prosecutors feel they need more, so they bring in a new detective to help with the investigation.
My name is Abden Rodriguez, and in 2009, I was a criminal investigator for the McLennan County District Attorney's Office.
I hear they call you the human lie detector?
I give because of some of the confessions that I was able to get.
Abdon is asked to review the case and find evidence that would help indict Matt Baker.
I wanted to look at the interviews that had been done. There was a lot of deception, you know, and I could see how, especially Vanessa was doing it.
How many times a week would you talk, you think, prior to her death? Once every day for a couple hours, and maybe midday, or?
Sometimes a couple times a day.
As you can see, she's got her arms crossed and her legs crossed. That's a big red flag to me.
When she passed away that week, how were the conversations? Were they kind of the same way they were before?
They were really the same.
And I told him, and I said, look, the whole key to this case is going to be Vanessa Booth. She's pretty and very smooth and friendly, but at the same time, you know she's a liar.
We didn't know if she might have even been involved.
After interviewing Vanessa, Abdon decides to subpoena her to testify in front of a grand jury.
I said, I'm going to be there, and I'm going to listen to your testimony. And I said, and as soon as you lie, I'm going to file charges on you.
When they brought Vanessa Bowles in for the grand jury, that was kind of a last-ditch effort.
So we're like, okay, let's see what happens.
As she and I were walking down the hall, she whispered to me, I'm going to tell y'all everything.
Behind closed doors, Vanessa Boole's grand jury testimony is the last step in getting Matt Baker indicted.
A former preacher charged with the murder of his wife.
Finally, Vanessa's testimony is the smoking gun.
Yes, it was. It was. She had everything we needed.
The civil case was dropped at that point in order to let the criminal case continue.
Matt Baker is charged with first-degree murder, accused of drugging and suffocating his wife, Carrie, and making it look like a suicide. He pleads not guilty. Now, 4 years after his wife's death, Matt Baker is on trial for her murder.
That first day of the trial, the gallery was full.
We have a lot of people here in the gallery today.
True crime author Catherine Casey was in the courtroom every day.
I followed this story from the first time it hit the Texas newspapers. It was just so fascinating that this had unfolded, especially in Waco, in this city that's just dominated by religion.
Prosecutors began poking holes in Matt's story from that night, starting with a 911 call and his claim that he performed CPR on Carrie.
We're going to go ahead and do compressions. You're going to do it fast and hard 400 times. 400? 400 times.
Did any police officers arrive before you?
I was the first one there.
And what did he tell you?
He pulled her off the bed and put her on the floor in order to do CPR.
And what was his demeanor?
Very calm.
Did that strike you as odd?
Yes.
Even as a police officer, I would not be as calm as he was that night.
There was no way that in that period of time he was able to move her, dress her, and was doing CPR while he was having this conversation.
He wasn't sweating. He did not seem to be in any type of physical distress.
The computer expert found incredible evidence regarding searches, regarding suicide, regarding sleeping pills, and regarding Ambien, which became critical.
Can you tell the jury what was extracted from the muscle tissue of Carrie Baker?
We found 3 different drugs, phentermine, diphenhydramine, and zolpidem. And then zolpidem, and its common name is Ambien.
We never were able to determine where he got the Ambien from.
But we were able to determine that he was going to these websites and that he had gotten as far as putting Ambien in a cart.
Defense attorney Guy Gray pointed out that there was no evidence that Matt actually ordered Ambien from that website.
They went through the process of looking at it, but it was aborted and no purchase of Ambien was made. Correct?
Yes.
No further question.
You state your name for the jury, please.
Joanne Bristol.
Joanne Bristol, Carrie's grief counselor, testified about those comments she says Carrie made about Matt.
She said, "I'm thinking my husband is going to kill me," but she recanted the statement.
How do you analyze that, or what do you think about that?
I felt at that time that I knew this client very well. She had never misled me, and so when she said, "Oh, but I know he wouldn't do that," I believed her.
You didn't advise her to leave the house or move out. You didn't call law enforcement. You took that as recanting as an accurate or true reflection of what was going on.
From her, yes.
Day 4 of the trial, and it's the prosecution's star witness who everyone is waiting to hear.
This case was one of those cases where all of the attention is focused on one witness, and that one witness was Vanessa Bowles.
The state calls Vanessa Bowles.
I remember looking at Matt more than looking at the jury. I wanted to see his response, and I think he was stunned.
Raise your right hand.
After years of denying their affair, Vanessa now admits that Matt began to pursue her even before Carrie died.
Please have a seat.
He started asking me things about my divorce and started telling me, "Whoever finds you is going to be a lucky man."
Did he say anything else unusual to you?
He came by and was kind of smiling. He said, "Oh, don't date other guys, just date your pastor," and kind of smiled.
Did he say anything else after that?
He said, "Will you really date your pastor? I've had a vasectomy, so I can't get you pregnant. Also, I don't have any STDs." And he also started telling me that because of Carrie's depression, as he stated, their sex life had been lacking.
And at the time, were you buying into what he was telling you about Carrie?
I was buying into everything. He was a complete, and still is, a manipulative liar who took me in my vulnerable state and made me believe everything he said.
What happened then in early March as you and Matt started to spend Fridays at the Baker home?
And he asked if he could hold my hands to pray, and he did. Then afterwards, he started to kiss me. Then he just took my hand and led me to the bedroom.
Feeling guilty about being with her pastor, Vanessa says that Matt tried to reassure her.
I was extremely remorseful. I couldn't believe what just happened. He started saying, "It's okay, don't feel bad, just ask God to forgive you." And he said, in reality, he said, "I don't think God believes that anyone can just be with one person the rest of their lives."
After Carrie's death, Vanessa says Matt wanted more, perhaps even making her the next Mrs. Baker.
At some point, did you and Matt take the girls and go to Kay Jewelers in the mall?
We did. He stated that the girls wanted to go look at wedding rings for me.
Are you telling the jury that he was prepared at this point, a week or two after Carrie's death, to trade in Carrie's wedding set to get you a ring that you wanted?
Correct.
Matt had denied this in interviews, but a salesperson from the jewelry store corroborated Vanessa's account.
She tried on about 4 or 5 rings, asked his opinion. He just would tell her it didn't matter what he liked, it was what she liked, because she would be the one wearing it.
Vanessa then drops a bomb when she says not only did Matt want out of his marriage,
He said that if we ever fell so much in love that he would find a way out of it.
she also knows what happened to Carrie Baker.
I told him, I'm gonna tell what you did. And he said, you better not do that.
Vanessa testifies that Matt was openly plotting Carrie's death.
At what point did he start talking about planning her murder?
It was sometime mid-March. He said that, she took sleeping pills every night, so maybe he could make it look like she overdosed on sleeping pills.
Vanessa Bowles talked about how Matt had ruminated about all the different ways he might kill Carrie.
He talked about making it look like she had hung herself. He talked about tampering with the brakes of her car, maybe doing a drive-by shooting.
What I saw from Vanessa's testimony was a man who was much more evil than even I believed he was.
She testified that Matt planned to kill Carrie with a tainted milkshake and then craft a suicide note.
1 to 2 weeks before Carrie's death, did he tell you that he had in fact tried that?
He did. He sent an email and said she took a sip of it and said that it tasted like lead. And so then he said he took a drink and said, oh, well, the ice cream must have been bad. He mentioned that he would leave a note, and he said that he would type it. And I said, that's never going to work. You're going to be caught. And he said, oh, no, she types everything.
Did he say something else about what he believed other people thought about her mental state?
Oh, he said that no one would question it because of how depressed she was.
Vanessa stuns the courtroom when she says Matt Baker told her how he killed his wife.
He had gotten big horse pills. He said he emptied out all the contents and put crushed Ambien in them. He said he handcuffed her to the bed and started kissing her and touching her all over until she fell asleep. Then he said he got the pillow and put it over her face.
What did he say happened next?
He said that he thought she was dead, and he just said she just took one big ass for air, and he said, oh, and then put the pillow back on her face, except he did this with his hand to be sure that he suffocated her.
He didn't even feel enough remorse when he realized that she was still alive to rethink it. He just wanted to finish the job.
He said he typed out the suicide note, printed it, got her hand, and he said that he ran her hand all around the sides of it and put her fingerprints all over it. He said that he set everything up, locked the door, and left.
What was the reaction in the courtroom to Vanessa's testimony that not only did Matt Baker kill his wife, but that he had been planning it?
He had planning it, and the things that he did, people couldn't believe it. I think the more surprising thing was that they couldn't believe that she's up there telling all this.
So you knew that Friday, April 7th of 2006 was the day that he was going to try it again?
I knew he was going to try it then, yes.
All right. And you didn't report that to anybody?
No.
Vanessa says she had second thoughts about Matt and the cover-up of Carrie's murder.
Not only had I known about this and not done the right thing, in truth, who would believe me? He was a preacher. And so I felt like I was stuck.
She then chose to break it off with him.
I decided that I didn't care what he told me anymore, that we didn't worship the same God. So I called him. I told him, I never want to see you again. And he became irate. He started saying, I killed my wife for you, and now you're leaving.
In a move Vanessa believed was meant to intimidate her, she testifies that Matt sent her an MP3 of a song called Dirty Little Secret.
He was talking about the murder plan, and he later referenced it, stating, "I need to keep my mouth shut. Don't tell anyone, or you'll be just another regret."
I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
Ms. Bowles.
The defense pressed Vanessa on why she was now coming clean about everything.
How would we know to believe you, Vanessa?
Because what do I have to gain from this right now? I'm setting things right. I made a mistake here because a manipulative liar wearing the mask of God came into my life. And this testimony is going to put him where he needs to be.
It's now up to the jury to determine where Matt needs to be.
Folks, we can't protect her from harm. The only thing now we can do is give her justice. Then turned and pointed to Matt and said to convict this murdering minister and find him guilty for one reason only, because he is guilty.
The indictment says there's got to be facts of drugs and a pillow. And the only way you can get those facts is by believing Vanessa Bowles. And she is just not credible.
I think a lot of people struggled with Vanessa.
I mean, she had done horrible things, but I think it really helped her credibility when she was on the stand, because she didn't try to fade her own culpability.
I think Vanessa was absolutely the key to the case.
They've reached a unanimous verdict, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
We, the jury, find the defendant, Matt D. Baker, guilty of the offense of murder as alleged in the indictment.
For the sentencing phase of the trial, the jury gets to hear additional testimony.
They came back and had witnesses from his past come and talk to us about things that he had done.
One by one, women testify about sexual misconduct they say they endured from Matt Baker.
He came up from behind me, put his hand on my breast. I pushed him away, told him no. He tried to kiss me, told him no.
I remember having to use all my strength to try to keep him off of me and from taking my clothes off.
Including Laura Wilson, the student trainer who worked alongside him in college.
He took his hand and began running it up my thigh and between my legs.
I think as a jury, to see, what all he's been doing since he was a teenager made us 100% feel like that we had definitely made the right decision.
The jury sentenced Matt Baker to 65 years in prison. And finally, Carrie's mother has a chance to confront him directly.
I'm talking to you, Matt, today, okay? You haven't looked at me in almost 4 years. Can you look at me today?
So what does Matt have to say from behind bars?
Yeah, we asked him to give him a call.
Sentence of the court that you be confined for a term of 65 years. There's some victim impact statements given by the family of the victim. You may proceed.
I'm talking to you, Matt, today, okay? You haven't looked at me in almost 4 years. Can you look at me today? For a little while, okay?
But she did talk to him directly, and he looked down.
Matt, she loved you. And then you took her from us, Matt. You discarded her like she was yesterday's trash. You murdered the mother of your children. But love trumps evil. I don't know why, but I felt pity for him.
I truly believe in my innocence. I believe the jury made a mistake in this.
After his sentencing, 2020 speaks with Matt Baker again, this time in prison, where he finally admits to his affair with Vanessa, but continues to maintain his innocence.
I'm coming clean on the lying about Vanessa. I made a mistake. I'm human. I made a mistake there. I should not have ever got involved in that. I was having a tough spot in my marriage, and I took the chicken way out. But I would never have hurt my wife. I never did. I never laid a hand on her, ever.
Their mother was erased from them. They need to know she loved them, and she didn't leave them by choice.
A year and a half after Matt's conviction, Linda was given custody of her granddaughters.
It was a long journey for the girls to understand what had actually happened to their mother.
Carrie Baker didn't kill herself. She was murdered.
He was a Baptist pastor, preacher.
He was a predator.
I think he's a dark angel.
That ye may fear the Lord your God.
You get to be the hero during daylight and sneak around in the dark and be evil. What do you make of the fact that now, nearly 20 years after the case, Matt Baker still maintains his innocence?
He's one of those people that can just lie and believe in himself that he's innocent.
The real hero in this is Linda Doolin. She fought for her child.
A mother. A mother's will.
It's strong.
Determination.
There's nothing like it, really.
It touches you.
It does.
Why?
Because I have children. And these are hard things. Linda Doolin is a brave, strong woman. I'll always admire that about her.
We love each other, and we knew Carrie did not take her life, and we weren't going to sit back until somebody would listen to us.
She was an amazing mother, and she would fight for any of us. And I just wanted everybody to know the truth.
Carrie's family is still so heartbroken over their loss, but committed to remembering the joy she brought them all. We should point out tonight that Matt Baker hasn't seen his daughters since he went to prison, but he hopes they'll visit one day.
As for Baker, David, he has exhausted all of his state appeals. For an inside look at tonight's 2020, join me for our brand new podcast, 2020, The After Show. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Deborah Roberts.
And I'm David Muir from all of us here at 2020 and ABC News. Good night.